Good morning, everybody. Mark Finan here in the home weather office on this Wednesday morning. It's now the 23rd day of April, 2025, and this is the morning briefing. As I look out the window of the home weather office this morning, bright blue sky once again. It's a little breezy. We have more of the onshore breeze this morning, and temperatures today will be running lower, and that's a trend we're going to see more of over the next couple of days. Still very comfortable today, with temperatures reaching the upper 70s, but the last couple of days we've been in the low to mid 80s in the valley. And we will be seeing more of that onshore breeze the next couple of days and a cooling trend. But the other thing we're looking at is the possibility of some scattered showers, maybe starting as early as Friday afternoon, but Saturday and even part of Sunday could see showers, especially in the mountains. For the valley, iffy. And there's also something I'm still trying to figure out about Friday and Saturday. And it's going to get colder, and usually this time of year, if we get that colder air around, usually means a chance of some thunderstorms, but the models aren't going there just yet. I'll show you that here in a second. First, let's start with this satellite. This is a beauty this morning. I'll start with it a little bit wider, but you can see the deep marine layer all up and down the coast, especially from Mendocino down through the San Francisco area of Monterey, and then certainly into Southern California. The valley clear, snow in the Sierra. We have some clouds developing on the east side of the Sierra and some clouds up north. Let me zoom in a little bit. Yeah, let's look at these clouds. So this is really a really interesting little feature right here. This is the snowpack in the Sierra. As you can see, there's Lake Tahoe up in here. And these clouds are an indication that we're starting to see increased winds aloft. So these are clouds that would be more or less stationary, formed in the lee side of the mountains. So as the winds come in aloft, they are pushed up over the crest of the Sierra, and downstream from that you get the clouds developing, which is a really interesting feature. The other interesting feature that I noticed this morning here in the marine layer, look at the, I hope your monitor is good enough to pick up this wavy nature as I zoom in on this. But look at the wavy nature. This is also an indication we're starting to see a little bit more wind a few thousand feet off the ground, that you're starting to get more of that wavy nature in the top of the marine layer. If you're down underneath it, you don't notice it, but if you're flying on top of it, you certainly may see the wavy nature as the flow comes in and starts interacting with the terrain. It's just a really cool feature that I'm so appreciative that we have these high resolution satellites now to pick up all of these little details that are formed. Otherwise, you just don't get. And then here's some of the fog that is up into the Napa Valley that'll burn off pretty quickly. But you can see the fog isn't all that extensive this morning. But as you go farther south, it certainly is. You also see some of that wavy nature in here, and then down toward Monterey and Pebble Beach and Carmel, just kind of socked in with fog. And then the valley is nice and clear. See if there's any other features we can pick out from here. There's Folsom Lake, nice and full right now. And the bypass, drove over the bypass the other day. There is still some water in the bypass, but it certainly does not look like it did a couple of months ago. And the bypass often shows up very nicely on the satellite. The other thing you'll notice is just how green everything is, especially in the foothills. That will be changing eventually. And the other thing you'll pick out on a nice clear day like this is these areas that are brown. These are actually old burn scars that show up pretty well also on these high resolution satellites. And this is one that always pops out at me. This shape right in here, that is still the scar from the King Fire that developed near Pollock Pines. I forget what year that was, but yeah, that always pops out on the satellite. All right, let's see. Let's take a look at the 500 millibar chart and look at what's going to be happening here over the next couple of days. Little trough beginning to drop in. That's initiating the cooling that we'll feel today. And as we head through the day tomorrow's still a nice day, but then you get this deeper trough that comes our way into Friday and Saturday. This is a pattern that, as I mentioned yesterday, if we had this in January, February, we'd be talking about some rain. We'd be talking about good Sierra snow and that sort of thing. But at this time of year, moisture is somewhat limited. So that low goes by, keeping us cool. Then we get back into ridging early next week for more warmer days. Speaking of moisture, I haven't shown you this in a while, and I just wanted to show you the precipitable water across the Pacific to just kind of illustrate how, while we're going to see this change, we aren't going to see much in the way of moisture with it, which is why shower chances will decrease. This is Friday afternoon. Here's your good moisture out here in the Pacific, and then there's down here's the ITCZ. And yeah, we have some somewhat elevated precipitable water. It's up around 1/2 inch, but out here, the water's 1.5 inches. So that's why at this time of year, we just don't get those quote unquote AR kind of connections here. And yeah, from time to time, here's a nice area. This is this is Monday. This moisture going up over the top of the ridge, but that won't impact California. And every now and then we'll get a little bit of moisture, like in here, but there just isn't going to be enough combined with any dynamics, like in here, to bring us anything in the way of rain. So yeah, the things certainly change out here in the Pacific as we head into the spring season. All right, let's see. Nope, not that one. I wanted to show you this one. All right, so now I'm going to show you the chances of rain. This is Thursday morning. We are still in good shape as we head through Thursday afternoon. That gradient starts to pick up again here. So you notice these isobars, these black lines. The wind goes basically perpendicular to these, so that's an indication of onshore flow on Thursday afternoon. Now we're into Friday morning, and here comes the colder air. There is the 540 thickness line right there. Temperatures dropping off quite a bit. If you have outdoor plans for Friday evening, yes, it is not going to be a warm night. As a matter of fact, by Friday afternoon, mountain showers pop up. As you can see here, this is Friday at 5 o'clock, but nothing in the valley, but it is colder. We may even see daytime highs in the valley stay in the upper 60s. An average daytime high is mid-70s. It's pretty cold for this time of year. This is Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon. As you can see, there are showers here. There is snow, but not very much of it. But cold enough for snow down to maybe 5,000 feet, but maybe not snowing at 4,000 feet on the dogwoods. And then this is in the afternoon on Saturday. So what about, with the colder air, what about convection? Well, let's take a look at the Cape. So this is the potential energy here, and this is one of the parameters we look at for thunderstorms. And I'll go to Friday afternoon, and this is the Cape. There's, little spots of it here and there, but nothing really going on in the valley to indicate that there would be thunderstorms on 5 o'clock on Friday afternoon. And then on Saturday, maybe a little bit more convective in here, but this is very, very low end. This is Cape around 200. It'd be more expecting something like 500 to 700. And this may change. This is one thing we'll look for in the models the next couple of days, because what can happen here is, well, let's see if I can do this, I'm going to see if this model will give me a virtual sounding here. Hang on one second while it thinks. Oh yeah, perfect. So what the model is saying here is that the lapse rates just aren't steep enough to deliver moisture up into the atmosphere at this point. But the thing is, at this time of year, if you squeeze out a little bit of sunshine, and instead of the surface temperature here being 62, like it says, if instead you push that up here into the 72, then you may get a steeper lapse rate and carrying any moisture aloft. It also looks like it's a little bit too dry down here at the surface. The moisture is up here at 850 millibars, or in other words, around 5,000 feet. So maybe it's going to be one of those days we see elevated convection, something like that. So that's one of the features that we'll have to keep an eye on for Friday afternoon and Saturday afternoon, and see if the models come into any sort of agreement about that for the possibility of thunderstorms. Because if you look up here at 500 millibars right here, that indicates a 500 millibar temperature around minus 27. And at this time of year, you only need something around minus 22, 25, something like that, in order to really get that good steep lapse rate going between, it's just how steeply the difference, the temperature difference, if you will, between the surface and the temperatures aloft. And if you get something around in the minus 20s up here at 500 millibars, you're going to get a good steep lapse rate, especially with enough sun at this time of year and the higher sun angle to get you up into the low 70s. So that's one thing we'll see if the models come around on. I wouldn't be surprised if the next couple of runs indicate better instability as we head into Friday and Saturday afternoon. Other than that, the GFS will be a little bit overdone with the precip chances. Like here, this is Friday night, and then this is Saturday. It does show snow in the Sierra, maybe at 5,000 feet, but not much of it. And then this is Sunday. It's also showing some chances of showers around on Sunday. Monday, we get into the ridging, and for those of you making plans for next week, well, the model's kind of every now and then spitting out some mountain showers, like here. This is next Friday afternoon. But as you can see, the valley is dry as we head into the early part of May. So for those of you that work outdoors, looks like you'll have more clear sailing. The only chances of precipitation we're looking at really are Friday and for the weekend. But it's not like it's going to rain all weekend. And if you have outdoor plans for this weekend, right now the valley looks like it's going to be dry. For the Sierra, we're going to see some snow on the summit, especially on Saturday. And we may even see chain controls on Saturday. The snow at this time of year tends to be a little slushy, but still, I wouldn't be surprised if for a while on Saturday we get chain controls. Again, another detail that we'll sort out in the next 24 hours, most likely. But if you have something going on, random valley city, Woodland, Davis, Stockton, someplace like that, there may be some showers around on Saturday, but worth canceling any plans for? No. But again, details about the wheres and whens of any chances of showers on Saturday will be ironed out in the next 24 to 48 hours. So you can kind of plan around that if we are going to get some rain. But in the mountains, we will see some rain. For those of you in Plumas County, we are going to see occasional showers starting Friday night and maybe lasting all the way into the day on Sunday, occasional showers. But the other thing is, especially in the foothills and Sierra, quite a bit colder than it has been. Yeah, I know. The dogwoods are blooming. Everything's, starting to look more like spring, but we're going to get that last little taste here of some colder weather. And not quite shorts and flip-flops this weekend for most in the valley probably as well. So the way you've been dressing the last couple of days, you're probably not going to be dressing that way this weekend. But to each his own. That's everything I've got for you this morning. Make it a great day. I'll talk with you later.